full house. I'm so excited we get to talk to C.H. Admirand, Cerise DeLand, Meara Platt, and Jude Knight. Ladies, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So since we have so many books, I thought we could just go right in order and start at the very beginning with The Moonstone Hero, which is book 5 in Moonstone Landing, and it's Meara's book. Meara, can you tell us about this one?
Okay, yes. Well, just for a quick little background, the whole Moonstone series is really based on, it's very much hero's journey. Wounded hero comes to this quiet, charming little Cornwall seacoast village, and they have an army hospital there because a lot of them are military men, and it's just they come there to heal, and that's where they meet their sweethearts, the women that they're going to fall in love with, and the town is named Moonstone Landing because there's a lore that the moonstones in the water will shimmer when on a night of a full moon when there's true love. So that's the thing. And so as we go now into Moonstone Hero, the heroine is Ella. Her name is Ella, and I introduced her back when her uncle was having his romance, the Moonstone Marquis, and she was a little girl. Now she and her sister are grown up, and she had her come out, her debut, just the prior year. And she's lovely, was considered a diamond. The hero fell in love with her at that time.
Oh, yay.
But then he was in the military, so he shipped off. And the year was extremely difficult for him. I mean, the background for him now that he's back completely wounded. I mean, physically and mentally, he's destroyed. He survived basically a massacre that occurred, and he came back. He's just completely wretched. And who happens to walk into his hospital room but Ella, who's volunteering? She and the other ladies volunteer. And the thing I love about my hero, Caden Seaton, he's the grandson of the Duke of Seaton, is he's a bit of an ass. Very snarky. He's Lord Snarky is what I would call him. He's cynical, he's sarcastic, he's grumpy, he's just, you name it. But he secretly has just always been in love with Ella and doesn't want to admit it, though. He's like, and he comes back, when he comes back to England, he's wounded, he's shot everywhere, his skull's crushed, his leg, his arm, everything's like, he barely made it through, but he's declared England's hero. And I guess this is what they do, because after they completely mess up this battle, he was, basically just about the lone survivor, and so they're making him a hero. They're making him go on his tour throughout England to just show off how wonderful the British Empire is and stuff. And basically throughout, he's just, he's calling it his "I Am a Bloody Hero" tour. He's just completely doesn't want to do it. When the military, when the top brass asked him to do it the first time, he told them basically to go to hell and ripped it up and sent it back. So he's not an easy guy. But and part of this is that he's pulled in 7 different directions, and the story is really about the journey. He's just afraid of what'll happen with. He's made enemies as well because he's really come back angry, and he's going to fight, and he wants changes made, and so he's just worried about people hurting Ella. So he thinks he's going to leave her behind, which he tries to do, but love conquers all. So
we get he falls first, right? We get he falls first. I adore he falls first stories. Those are just the best. And sunshine, and we get a protective hero.
Oh, very much so. Yes. When it comes to her, he's very, very protective. And of course, women are always flocking around him, but he's like, I want Ella. Just, That's who he
Eyes
wants.
for her.
And
Holy cow.
yeah.
That's
So,
all of
and
the
it's a
things.
nice line. At once he and his grandfather are also very combative because they have very forceful personalities each. So they're each kind of combative, but they finally, reconcile toward the end. And the grandfather finally tells Ella, it's like, we were fighting as usual. My grandson and I were fighting as usual. And then you walked into the ballroom the first time he saw you. And it was as though a fairy princess had walked in. And he couldn't breathe. He lost his breath. So he said, I knew that he was falling in love with you. So it was really, I needed to have him do that because he was such a snarky jerk. so many people, but it's going to be a fun book.
Oh my goodness. Well, it has all the things we love in it. So
yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
how many are left in the series, Meara?
Well, the next one is the Moonstone Pirate. So that'll be book 6. So far, that's technically the last one, but I'm going to add the Moonstone Mermaid is going to go into the novella, the Hot Duke summer novella. That's anthology that's coming out, and perfect for it. Get those hot dukes, get those shirts off, get in the water. And so it's fun. But the Moonstone Pirate's going to be a lot of fun too. Ella's younger sister. She's very artistic and kind of little, not flaky, but just more spiritual kind of. She's just and she's convinced that her neighbor is a pirate, and it's just fun. That one's going to be a very fun book. Hero is a lot more angsty. Fun, but still angsty. But Pirate's going to be
a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they both sound like so much fun, and I love the series and the setup for the series. Stones that glow in the full moon when true love's present. I mean, come on, sign me up.
Yep.
Well, the next book that comes out this week is the Lion's Den book, and that's Jude's book, and it's Hook. It's Hook, Lion, and Sinker. This is the cutest title ever. Hook, Lion, and Sinker. Can you tell us about it?
I had the title before I had the story, but I did know that I wanted it to be another story like Talons of the Lion was last year, that was also a twist upon a Regency tale.
Mm-hmm.
And the story I wanted to do was The Little Mermaid. So for those that are not familiar with the series, the idea is to take inspiration from a fairy tale to set it in the Regency era, to do away with the magical elements, but to give a nod to them in ordinary happenings, and to twist the roles so that My Little Mermaid is a returned serviceman. He's a half Sicilian. His father was disowned for marrying a Sicilian girl, and he's grown up in Sicily with that family. But when he's 18, their town is raided by Barbary pirates, and he is one of the people that is carried off. His parents and his little sister are killed, and he's carried off. The boat that he's on is taken by the British Navy. This is all backstory. And it's on that boat that he meets a young English girl, a daughter of an earl who was travelling with her father back to England. But off the coast of Portugal, the boat is wrecked in a storm. Now, this is where my hero comes into his own, because he's a brilliant swimmer. And he basically rescues first the heroine and then everyone else he can get off the boat, including her father. So fast forward now, let me see how many years. 8 years. And in that time, Angelico, or Angel as he's known, has been in the army in first in Portugal, then in Spain, and he's been using his swimming ability to lead a little group of sappers to approach bridges and mine them from the river.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
So he's given the nickname the Merking. Until in the final retreat from Spain into France, he mines a bridge and it comes down early on top of him.
Oh
And
no.
he's taken by the retreating French and tortured.
Uh-huh.
Oh man.
So by the time the story starts, which is in 1817, he has finally got back to England after he was finally well enough to be transported. And he's back up on, at least on crutches, and he's working for the Lion's Den as a musician.
Oh, I wondered whether it's a violin on the cover. Is that right?
He's a violinist, yes. So my heroine, the story starts, if the kitten had not lost its ball behind the sofa, Lady Laureline Barclay might not have called a halt to her fast approaching wedding day. So there she is, the same girl he rescued 8 years earlier. When she was 19, she became engaged to another ex-soldier. And she's been engaged for 6 years because every time the wedding day approaches, he puts it off. And this time she's had enough and she tells him basically to get lost. But she discovers that her father's will left her entire dowry to a veterans hospital if she was not married by her 25th birthday.
Yeah.
Oi.
And since that is fast approaching, she goes to Mrs. Dove Lyon for a match, bumping into Angel on the stairs on her way up to see Mrs. Dove Lyon. She's sure it can't be the boy she knew in Portugal, the one who saved her life. But he knows it's her because ever since he was able to get out of hospital, he's been hobbling to Hyde Park to watch her riding with her brother in the morning.
Oh. Oh, I love
And
that.
so, of course, he's not going to enter the contest for her hand because he's broke. He's not really broke. He's got quite a lot of money put away, but it's all invested, so he doesn't have a lot except what he earns as a violinist. He's crippled. He's half Sicilian. There's all sorts of reasons why he's not fit. But the head of Mrs. Dove Lyon's Wolves talks him into giving it a try. After all, what has he got to lose? And so there's all sorts of skullduggery. The ex-fiance proves to be just as unreliable and as entitled as you might think. There's a cousin of our hero who is a bit afraid of this half Sicilian coming out of nowhere because there's where does he stand in the line of succession? And he's also vying for Laurel's hand, but is knocked out quite early. So he's causing trouble. At one point, Laurel gets thrown into the Serpentine, and obviously, Angel sees it happen and does a replay of his earlier rescue.
Thank goodness.
And of course, there are the contests. 3 contests between the two of the suitors that survived the first elimination, which is an interview with Laurel. And they, I think, are the highlight. They were the highlight. I'm a pantser, and I didn't have any idea what sort of challenge Mrs. DeLand set them, but I was so thrilled with what popped into my head. By the time I'd written the second one, I'd realized I needed to reorder them because I wanted to tie them into the title. And I'm not going to say any more than that, but I feel really, really smug.
Well, it sounds delightful.
I have another one coming out later in the year called Thrown to the Lion, and that is going to star Laurel's brother, who turned out to be not as she barely knows him. He's also a returned soldier, third in line, who unexpectedly became the Earl. And he doesn't know. He's been away all his life. Ever since he got back, he's been going around the estates trying to get everything in order. She doesn't know him. She's not sure if she can trust him. But over the period of the book, he comes into my mind forward far enough that I have to have him as a hero next time.
Oh yeah, I love it when.
And that story is going to be the tinderbox, in which the widow of a soldier arrives back in England. She's poverty-stricken. Things are going really badly for her, but she saves Mrs. DeLand's life and is given a tinderbox with 3 tokens in it that she can call on Mrs. DeLand 3 times for help.
Awesome.
Where we go after that, I have no idea.
Well,
but
that's
it's going to
plenty
be
of places to start. That's plenty of places to start. That sounds like so much fun, and I love that they're connected to each other too. So we get to look forward to seeing character relationships moving forward. Awesome. The next book that comes out this week is Cerise DeLand's book, and it's Lord Ashley's Beautiful Alibi. I'm just so curious to see who the Beautiful Alibi is, and it's book 1 in a brand new series, The Scarlet Affairs. Cerise, can you tell us about that?
Yes. I am very excited about this book and this series. And the way it came about is that for decades, my husband and I have had the privilege to go abroad every year to Europe. And most of that has been in England and France. I can take you all to Paris with me, and we will walk the streets.
And I will squeeze tight in.
Yes. And I will tell you who slept there, who lived there. I buy fish from the local poissonnière on the corner of Rue Le Pic, close to where Renoir and Matisse lived. Anyway, so there's so much of that I have in my brain, and I delight in visiting almost every year. We've been for the past 18 years. So ever since we were empty nesters. So everybody else stayed home, we went. So I said, I have so much material. I said to my husband, I have so much material in my head, so many exquisite little bits that I'd love to share with people in a historical romance that I'm going to make. I'm going to write a series about it. So we have 16 novels in this series, and each one is as accurate as my God allows me to be in the scenery and the description, and I cite real events. The opening scene in Lord Ashley's Beautiful Alibi occurs on the road to Malmaison in June of 1800 was one of the numerous attempts to abduct and perhaps assassinate Monsieur Bonaparte. So I took that real event and I have stood on that road to Malmaison. And our hero comes out of the forest and he's wondering why people are not coming along the road as they're supposed to. And who comes along but our heroine and her friend. And the friend romps off toward Malmaison and she sticks around. She says something's odd here. He grabs her off her horse, drags her into the edge of the forest, and here, tra-la, 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 come the grenadiers and Napoleon's guard. Anyway, our first kiss is on the road to Malmaison because we're shutting her up. And we're not letting her.
Oh, he dragged her off the horse and into the edge of the forest and kisses her?
Yeah,
Good.
exactly.
Good
Not just
Promising.
once either. By the third time, we're enjoying things. So anyway, so we flash forward 2.5 years later when there is, in fact, a real peace treaty between England and France, or Great Britain and France. And just before our hero gets there, he is called to a meeting by his supervisor. And his supervisor is a woman named Scarlett Hawthorne, and she has inherited her father's merchant company, a very wealthy company. And as was true during the Regency, during the Napoleonic Wars, many of the spies were originally merchant of various products or services. And so who best to know people who are going to make great spies other than our gal, Scarlett Hawthorne. So these are called Scarlet Affairs. Because for many years, our hero is the main organizer of all of these agents, both male and female. And as we move into Lord Ashley's alibi, we find that this beautiful woman is a resident in Napoleon's court. She is British, and there's a reason that she is British and that she's in Napoleon's court. And as he is there, before he goes there, he is told by Scarlett that he must find a certain woman who has gone missing. And the woman turns out to be, we know it not for a few chapters, the woman turns out to be our heroine's best friend who went scampering
Oh, the one who
off.
went scampering off in the beginning, before the kissing happened.
Yeah. So so the whole plot of Lord Ashley's alibi is that he and our heroine, whose name is Augustine Bolton, are going to go off together under the ruse of being lovers. They're going to go off together to various cities and towns to look for Amber Saint Antoine. And so we're going to go to Compiègne, which
So we get to go to all those places too. I love this.
Yeah, we're going to go to Compiègne, just north of Paris, and we're going to go to the tunnels. Hello, I've been into the tunnels beneath Compiègne. It's where nuns and priests used to hide during the religious wars in France. And then we're going to go to Reims, where the kings and queens of England were crowned. Why are we going to Reims? Well, because our missing woman was she's a widow, but she was at one time the wife of a vintner of champagne. And so then we don't find her there either, and off we go to another town, and we're going to a town called Varennes, which may sound familiar to many of you who know French history. This is the town where Louis and Marie Antoinette tried to escape, and I have been to that church. And we're going to go there, and a few things are going to happen in Varennes, but then we're going to go back and we're going to see Napoleon and Josephine in court.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I talk about when he cut his hair to make him look more appropriate instead of that long stringy stuff he had. And we're going to talk about Josephine spending money. And then we're going to talk about the fact that Napoleon's going to pick an argument with the British ambassador. And at that point, the peace collapses, and
Mhm.
British must literally run for the borders, and some get trapped, and some are marched off to a few prisons, one of which is Verdun in the West, a horrible place. I've been that place too. Underneath the ground where the moisture drips through bricks.
Mhm.
Awful. And we're going to go on in the second book, Lord Ramsay's Red-Headed Ruin. This is the woman who ran off.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Oh,
Serious.
okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. He is charged by his friend Ashley with finding Amber Saint Antoine, and he finds her, and
Awesome.
he finds
Oh,
a woman. He
love-
finds a woman he can love, and a woman who tries him
oh, wonderful.
desperately. So, and then we go on for every year, all the mysteries. I'm really excited about this.
Oh, I'm excited for this one too,
Oh,
and I love
good.
it. I love it when we can like really throw ourselves into a story as readers, like really throw ourselves into the story and trust that what we're reading has basis. Like, you know, it's like
Yeah.
it just makes
Yes.
everything that much richer. So
Yes,
love it.
yes.
Oh, so much to look
Yes.
forward to here. Well, the last book that comes out this week is C.H. Admirand's book, and it is The Duke's Enforcer, and it is book 8 in the Duke's Guard series. And these are all these delicious protective men.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that one?
You're in luck because I have my notes. If I didn't have them, no, I wouldn't be able to tell you anything at all about them. But this is actually the last of the Garrahan brothers. There's only 4 Garrahans, 4 Flahertys, but 8 O'Malleys. So they kind of, take over a little. But Darby is the youngest. And as the youngest, he really has his hands full because he's not just rescuing the heroine. He has to help her get through a trauma that she suffered when she thought she was running away with the love of her life. As one of the poor relations, everything he promised her sounded fabulous, and they're halfway to Gretna Green. They're almost there, more than halfway, and he anticipates his vows. And he offers her to be his mistress instead of his. So she says no. He leaves her in an inn yard. But the hostler that was there notices what's happening, gets the innkeeper's wife, who takes her under her wing for the next couple of years. She works there, and she's been saving because she's decided she wants to go to London because she wants to work to apprentice as a milliner. Unfortunately, there are those that prey upon young women, and especially from the country, and they lure them to London. But they promise them these jobs in an advert, but they're really luring them to brothels. And they get to a boarding house, which is a front for a brothel, where they're going to teach them what they should know in their new profession. But Garrahan is there. He receives word from one of their contacts. There's a woman who was captivated by the lion. I called her the Angel of the Streets, where she rescues young women off the streets. And she sends word. She hears from this woman, the innkeeper, that the young Amy is missing, and she wants her help finding her. So she contacts Bow Street, and they get in touch with Garahan. So he finds her, and he's about to rescue her, and he senses things about her, like it sounds like she doesn't feel that she's worthy to be rescued, and there are two other younger girls there who she wants him to, and he's like, you don't understand, I don't have enough coin, I only have enough coin to rescue you, you are, who I'm sent here for. But he promises to go back. She believes him, but he's trying to put all these pieces together, where of course there's fighting and mayhem and daring do, because it's action. If there's no action, yeah, it's like, what's the point of? Never mind. That's just me and my Errol Flynn complex. But he rescues her, and he realizes he needs to say something more as he's taking her to Miss Michaela. He's like, you have to understand that your past does not define you, and if you have the courage to move forward, that you can change your life. And so he tells her a little bit about, what his ma has been trying to tell him all along, that, you have to learn how to forgive. You don't have to forget. You're Irish. You don't have to forget, but you have to forgive. But you don't forgive just for yourself, for the other person. You forgive for yourself so you can let go of the heavy load you're carrying. So he's really got a long road to convince her. But when she's abducted a second time, he realizes the only way to save her is to marry her. So yeah, she's had a full life. but they do manage to rescue, Mally go back and rescue the other young ladies that are there. And there's two really young girls that are there. And it's just, anyway, it's the darkest thing I've written so far. Think. I mean, even with the medievals I wrote, there was a lot of slashing and part of you here and part of you there. But this is like mentally, I think. So it wasn't as easy. I'm writing and I'm like, why am I writing this? And I'm like, because it has to be told. Yeah.
Well,
so
there's a lot of that unworthiness part that it's like that I think carries huge weight too.
Yeah. So there's a lot like that hangs on. It's just like Anyway. That's just me. Sorry.
But
I forget what I was going to say.
We get another of the Duke's Guard who saves the day and helps her find her worth, which is like
it's the girl, but he's going to have to take the time. Yeah, he has to go slowly.
I love this.
With her. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, there's so much good stuff that came out this week. My goodness,
It's exciting, isn't it? It's a good week for readers.
It is a good week for readers. So I'm going to say the same thing I say every week, which is that Dragonblade books are their very best deal on pre-order and release. So you want to grab them then. But if you don't, you can read in Kindle Unlimited, and you can spend your whole weekend and well into next week reading, because there's so many good things lined up. So,
yep.
Ladies, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us this week. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.